Podcast. I'm your host, Ben Anderson.
I'm Chandler Holt.
It is May 20th. We are a week from the last podcast. We were 8 days removed from the draft lottery, though that feels like it was an eternity ago.
Yes.
And we've moved on to this new stage, I think, of paying attention to the draft, where I know last week a lot of Jazz fans were grieving and were furious on Tuesday. And I think you've probably come around a little bit more and recognized, there's still good players in this draft.
Yes.
And we're going to talk about two of them coming up today in the show. We're going to talk about Tre Johnson, the guard from Texas. We're going to talk about Kon Knueppel, the guard from Duke. We're also going to get into some other weekly news, and then we'll get into your mailbag question as always. Find us on Twitter at Ben's Hoops, at Holt Sports. Read us at KSLSports.com. You can also find us at Blue Sky. So the best way to get in touch with us. But actually, kind of a weird amount of news that has come out this week with the Combine wrapped up, and we're getting ready for the rest of the summer.
Yes. First bit of news came out shortly after our podcast last week. Carlos Boozer is expected to join the Jazz as a scout, although it just seems some type of front office role.
Yeah, Michael Scotto from Hoops Hype originally reported it that it was a scouting role. Sarah Todd at the Des News said it's kind of more of just a whatever. Yeah, front office role is not fully defined yet.
Yeah.
But, you've seen guys hang around Avery Bradley and then turns into a job. Boozer's going to be around in some fashion, which cool. Are you taking Carlos Boozer's like hardcore basketball thoughts? I don't know.
Yeah.
Yes, both of his sons are in the draft next year, probably. At least Cam will be. Caden, we'll see how he plays at Duke next season. But Cam is one of the greatest high school basketball players in recent memory. Better high school basketball player than A.J. DiBonsa and Darren Peterson. That doesn't mean he's going to be the best pro.
Yes.
But he's been one of the most decorated players of all time at that level. So him coming in the draft, Boozer having been in AAU circles, been around all these kids for 5, 6, 7 years, he can probably give the Jazz some insight and have some knowledge. And you know what? Those players probably know him as well when you're in those elite circles of AAU basketball. And Boozer's been able to talk to him and has been one of the dads. Maybe there's something to learn there. So, and not bad if you end up with a third pick and Cam Boozer's on the board and you have to take him and you feel like, yeah, my dad works for the team. That's cool. And he played there.
Yeah. I was going to say interesting timing with Cam Boozer expected to be one of those top 3 guys.
Yeah,
in the
not a
draft next
coincidence.
year. Yeah. Next, news that came out about 5-10 minutes before we're recording this, a few hours by the time you guys see this. No Jazz rookies made the all-rookie teams.
I was surprised at that. I thought both Kyle Filipowski and Isaiah Collier had a good shot at it.
Mm-hmm.
It wasn't a good draft year by any means. But your first team is Steph Castle, Reza Shea, Jalen Wells, Zach Edey, Alex Sarr. That's probably what should have been expected. The second team was Modest Buzelis, Bub Carrington, Donovan Clingan, Khalil Ware, and Yves Missy. If you wanted to put Isaiah Collier over Bub Carrington, I would have listened.
Mm-hmm.
If you wanted to put Flip over any of those players, I would have listened on the second team. But it's not a crazy good draft class, which is why Collier and Filipowski had a chance in the first place. But I do think the Jazz probably should feel like they have at least one of the 10 best rookies out of this class.
Absolutely. I think that
I don't know who it's going to be, but I would bet Flip, but we'll see.
I think that Flip should have made it at least over Khalil Ware, Donovan Clingan, and Yves Missy. Like, those guys had solid rookie years, but I think that he had the highs and lows, of course. Started strong, had that little rough stretch in the middle, and then ended strong again. So maybe his stats don't reflect the highs that he reached, but regardless, 0 for 10 for Jazz with the rookies.
And that snaps a 2-year streak where the Jazz had back-to-back all-rookie team members, Walker Kessler 2 years ago, I guess 3 years now, and, of course, Keontae George last year. Yeah. And then you would hope that whoever they pick at 5 is on it next year or 21 or whatever. Yeah. But we'll see. So I thought maybe that'd be 3 years in a row. It will not be for the Utah Jazz. You know what? I don't think a lot of people watch the Jazz. You at least saw Khalil Ware in the playoffs. Yes. And you should have had your votes in before that. But I don't blame people who weren't breaking down the game of Kyle Filipowski. Yeah. That's just fine. Not a huge knock on anyone, certainly, and maybe lights a fire under those guys going to the summer league. And I expect both of them to be there, which leads us into our next piece of news.
Yes, it was announced the Salt Lake City Summer League is coming back, which we already sort of knew by comments from the front office earlier. But with the Delta Center renovations, it was what's happening with that. And we find out it's going to be at the Huntsman Center.
Just like it was in 2017 with the Delta Center under renovation. This is a far more aggressive construction than what was even going on last time, I believe. So, it definitely is.
Yes.
Because they're putting in a hockey. They're making it a hockey arena as well. It will be up at the Huntsman Center coming up on July 5th, 7th, and 8th. Usually they used to do it like the 3rd, the 5th, and the 6th. So it's actually after the 4th of July now, and they have that second day off on the 6th. But, fine. And then the Vegas Summer League begins July 10th. Or July 10th.
Yeah, 10th
So,
to the 20th, I believe.
Yep.
And then
Memphis Grizzlies, Oklahoma City Thunder, Philadelphia 76ers, and the Jazz. So 2 top 5 picks.
Yeah.
76ers have the 3rd overall pick. Jazz have the 5th pick. So most likely to see those 2 guys going at it.
And then one more piece of news. We're going to talk about it in the mailbag, though, but just teasing that the Philadelphia 76ers have their eyes on Larry Markkinen. But
At least that's the rumor from ESPN.
Yeah, ESPN
we can
sources
mention
rumors, of course. All right. Should we get into our draft profiles?
Yeah, let's do it. Where do you want to start? Do you want to start with Tre Johnson? Or do you want to start with Kon Knueppel?
I say we start with Kon.
Okay.
So we talked about Kon a little bit a few weeks ago, but we said if the Jazz land at 5th, we'll talk about it a little bit more. So that's what we're going to do. Kon is a 6'7", 6'10" wingspan, averaged 14.4 points, 4 rebounds, 2.7 assists, 48% from the floor, 40% from 3. Sharpshooter, in one word for Kon.
Yeah, let's actually get his full measurements here because he didn't compete at the combine. He's got a rolled ankle.
Okay.
It happened at some point.
Yeah,
and his agent said he was only 85%, so he didn't do any of like the athletic testing, but he did do measurements. 6'5" barefoot, so a little bit shorter. 220, 6'6" and a half or 6'6" and a quarter wingspan, so he's kind of a little bit of dinosaur arms. And then 8.5 inch standing reach. So the physical profile from a height and wingspan measurement isn't like elite.
No.
But 6'5", is almost 6'7" in shoes, 6'6" and a half, is not terrible by any means. He has a chance. He probably profiles as the best shooter in the draft. But let's break down what that actually means, because there's a lot of different ways in which he shoots that I think are interesting. Catch and shoot, I do believe he's the best player in the draft.
Absolutely.
Like if he's open, that thing's going in.
Yes.
Coming off screens, he's got some of that as well. I think that's where he's interesting. He's not super efficient off the dribble in any sense of the word. So like if he's running pick and roll, which we need to get into in a minute, and how good he is at running pick and roll. If you go under, he did not punish teams for going under and then like dribbling into the 3 and killing you. The way Jazz fans will remember, like that's where Joe Ingles became an NBA player.
Yes.
Was Joe could run pick and roll with Rudy Gobert at an elite level, and if you gave him any space, Joe was going to hit a 3.
Yeah.
And that was like, it was awesome. It was a great play. And then because Joe had such bad physical limitations, at least athletic limitations, you had to be up on him, and then he could drive past you off of a good screen, and then he was dangerous because he could kick out either direction. There is a ton of that in Kon Knueppel's game.
Oh, absolutely.
Like he is going to destroy teams as a pick and roll ball handler. With a good screener. He did it with Common Malawash at Duke. But you put him with Walker Kessler and Walker's ability to catch lobs and how good he's done that, how well he's evolved into that type of player. A Kon Knueppel, Walker Kessler pick and roll is going to be an elite play for the Utah Jazz as long as he can start to hit some of those 3s off the dribble. He just didn't take a whole lot at Duke. It was a low numbers, like 30 threes off the dribble, which like we'll talk about Tre Johnson in a minute. Like that's his bread and butter. That's what he does super well. Kon does not do that super well at this level.
No, yeah, you're absolutely right. He is almost entirely catch and shoot. I think that's the sort of thing that a lot of people are like, there's been a lot of talk, is he Dalton Connect? Is he a glorified Dalton Connect? And I just think that the differences there are striking. Yes, they're both shooters, and that's where they make their money and where they're going to make their money in the NBA. But I think that Kon, both offensively and defensively, has so much of a higher IQ as, an 18, 19-year-old?
Yes.
So it's just going to only get better from here. So that's why he's talked about in like a top 5, if not top 8 sort of range.
40% from 3 overall, 43% on catch and shoot 3s, 43% on guarded catch and shoot 3s. So like it didn't matter if there was a hand in his face. 43% on unguarded catch and shoot, so it just didn't matter. But again, off the dribble, and this is from Red Coutier Lucas on Twitter, so I'm credit him for putting this graphic out. 14% on off the dribble 3s. Now he only took 21. They played almost 40 games. That means he took 1 every other game, meaning like it wasn't something he even tried to do. Pick and roll ball handler 3-pointers, 2 of 15. So again, really low. That's where it's weird because he's such a good pick and roll player and such a good shooter. But off screen 3-point shooting, 38%. Free throws, 91%, like just doesn't miss. At the rim, good 63%. Non-rim 2s, 40%, which is good. That means even when he's pulling up in the mid-range, he's effective.
Yeah.
True shooting percent, 64%.
Wow.
Like crazy.
Yeah.
At 50 is where you're going to find a lot of guys. He's at 64%. So it's awesome. So the shooting, that's what the shooting is.
Yes.
We talked about the pick and roll. He's not going to like blow anyone away with his first step.
No.
But at 220, he is really strong. He's a bit of a bowling ball. he only needs 1 or 2 dribbles and he gets right into the middle of the floor. He can get to the free throw line and he's just going to kill you.
Yes.
Because he'll either take one more step and get to the paint where he's a pretty good finisher. Gets a little bit like pump fake happy sometimes. He's like, I'm not super athletic, so I'm not going to dunk on anyone, so I'm just going to pump fake.
Yes.
And then he still scores. That doesn't work as well in the NBA to block your shot. But when he just goes up off of 1 foot, he's good. He's really good playing off of 2 feet as well. And he'll just work that out of his game. He'll just like be like, well, I just got to go up quicker. I can't wait and pump fake to get my shot off like I could in high school or college. He's just going to have to go up quicker than that.
Speaking on something you said, something that I was really impressed with is that whether it's on the 3-point line or when he finally gets inside, like you said, he's not very athletic, but a lot of times he'll use these shot fakes or even just like a pound dribble, take it to the side. He's crafty. Like he knows that he's not going to beat guys with his athleticism, but he uses his weight and his frame to his advantage a lot.
He's really strong.
Yes.
Like for a 19-year-old, I think he'll be 20 on draft night. Maybe he won't quite be there. He's freakishly strong.
Yeah. So I think that there is a lot of offensive upside. He's truly a shooting robot. Like if he gets into his actual motion, which is what, like you say, he's not taking like a lot of off dribble, fadeaway, stuff like that. Like when he gets set and shoots, it's automatic.
But he does not stop. He's got a crazy motor, so he's getting to those shots a lot. He's not just standing there and waiting for threes. When he's off the ball, even if he's on the weak side of the floor, like he's positioning himself to be open in a passing lane. Like he knows exactly where the ball is going to be and where he needs to be to receive that pass. And then when he catches it, he's already making the read of, do I shoot? Am I attacking a closeout? Am I passing? Like he totally gets it. He totally sees the game. His IQ is through the roof. His motor's great. His shooting's automatic. He's awesome. I know Jazz fans are a little like afraid of him right now. I'm telling you, he's an awesome player. Kon Knueppel's going to be a really good NBA player for a long time. I don't know if he's an all-star. I feel extraordinarily comfortable saying that as long as the team gets to the playoffs, and I don't mean the Jazz, any team that drafts him gets back to the playoffs, Kon Knueppel is like a playoff rotation top 6, top 7 guy, which look at the 4 teams left in the playoffs right now. They have 7 guys that they play. Like Kon Knueppel is in that group of players.
Yeah.
And if you care about winning, Kon Knueppel is a winner. Like you are going to win because Kon Knueppel's on your team. If you care about Isaiah Collier, Kyle Filipowski, Walker Kessler, Taylor Hendricks, Cody Williams, like he's going to sprinkle fairy dust on all those guys and make them all better.
Yeah. He's
that type of player. Like he is going to make every single player around him better. And it's not just like off the ball stuff. Like I watched the Georgia Tech ACC tournament game where Cooper Flagg got hurt because I wanted to see what does Kon Knueppel do when he's not playing next to a guy who has a 30% usage rate in Cooper Flagg. And he's the best player on the floor by 1,000 miles.
Oh, yeah.
It's insane. And to the point where in the second half, Duke was down like 14, 16 in the first half of this game. Cooper Flagg goes out. Kon takes over. The second half, they just spam pick and roll with him over and over and over. And he just dices up Georgia Tech. Now, Georgia Tech's not good.
Yeah.
But he's just destroying these dudes off the dribble, threes, pick and roll. It just doesn't matter. They just have no answer for him. He's going through traffic. He's drawing fouls. He's finishing at the basket. And I watched a bunch of games of him, and it's just the more you watch him, the more you're just like, this dude wins. This dude's just going to win at such a high level in the NBA. He's awesome. If you got him at 5, like I know Jazz fans aren't going to be like throwing the parade, but 3 years down the line, they're going to be like, I can't believe we got Kon Knueppel on this roster.
Yeah.
He's truly awesome.
Something I wanted to say, the way that Oscar Tshiebwe treats rebounding like a science, I feel like Kon Knueppel treats shooting as a science.
Okay.
Like he has it down, and I feel like he knows. I would imagine he's the type of guy that knows the exact percentage he shoots from like 10 spots behind the 3-point line.
And everyone else on the team as well.
Yeah.
Like, I'm not kidding. Like, I think he knows everything about what everyone's doing.
Yes.
I think he knows where everyone's at their best. Like, when I say sprinkling fairy dust on the rest of the players around him, like, he's going to be like, well, I know where I can throw Walker the ball, and I know where I can throw Bryce Sensabaugh the ball. Like, you have Bryce Sensabaugh and Kon Knueppel on the perimeters, and you're all of a sudden you're an elite shooting backcourt. Like, and that's the thing I like about Kon actually a lot. I think he can play, like, your third string point guard where, like, Isaiah Collier's in foul trouble and somebody's hurt. Like, Kon's going to run the offense for you and be just fine and be 6'5", and all of a sudden he's a 6'5" point guard. And so some of his, like, measurement issues you're concerned about actually disappear. And then he can play threes. I think he's going to be able to guard some guys big, and we'll talk about his defense in a second. And then, you know, he kind of just projects as a natural 2-3, but, like, you could play him with Bryce Sensabaugh and be awesome. You could also play him with Isaiah Collier, or if you wanted to play him a point guard for long stretches, a la, like, Austin Reeves, he could step in and do that as well. So I'm a big Kon Knueppel fan. I think he's the real deal.
So we've talked about the athleticism question marks, and we've also talked about how he is very smart, and we talked about offensive, and he does have that defensive IQ as well.
Yeah.
where do you think he projects as an NBA defender?
You're trying to get him to be like a passable NBA defender.
Okay.
Because he's just not great athletically. He just has a short wingspan. He's not a great leaper. So that's going to hurt him. He's not ever going to be a lockdown guy. Like, that's out of the picture completely. He knows exactly where the defense is going. There is not, I watched probably 4 games. There is not I can't find a single possession where the controller turned off. Like we talk about, like, he's off the ball, he's in the corner, 3-point shooter, he's not paying attention, they back cut him. I didn't see it a single time.
Yeah.
Like,
never.
Watch a quarter of NBA basketball and every guard's going to get back cut. I didn't see a single one where he gets back cut and isn't either between the ball and his man or his man in the basket. And he shades in the right spots where he's like, I know I got to bring up pressure here because I know who's guarding him. I know it's, Tyrese Proctor is going to get beat, or whoever it was, Sion James is going to get beat off the dribble. Like, I've got to be over there to shade to make sure he can't come to this angle. Like, he knows exactly where to be on the court on both sides of the ball at all times. And even when he's on ball, like, he knows what you're going to do. So he's going to get in your way.
Yes.
He doesn't necessarily mean he's going to lock you down, but you're not ever just going to blow him off the dribble and be like, I got a layup because Kon Knueppel's on me and he's just toast and I'm going to target him every single time. NBA teams are going to challenge him, but he's going to get in the way. He is 220, like we said. He's really strong, so you're not going to just drive right through him or back him into the paint. So I actually like the defense a lot more than you would think from a guy who has short arms and is not super athletic. Like, he's just going to be in the right spot every single time. He's just always going to be spaced correctly. He's going to close out. And like I said, the motor is stupid. Like, the motor, VJ Edgecombe's motor is awesome. Cooper's motor is awesome. Kon Knueppel's motor is as good as anybody in this draft. He just does not stop. And it's like multiple actions. There are a lot of guys who will guard one action and they're like, well, I did my job. It's like he's chasing guys over screens. He's going to rebound. He's boxing out. He's tapping the ball. He's diving on the floor a lot. He's definitely dive on the floor guy. But he's saving basketballs out of bounds. Like, he's just a winner. It's just the easiest way to describe him. He's just a winning basketball player, and he's going to find ways to make an impact on the game on both sides of the floor. He's not going to be an elite defensive player, but he's going to find ways to make plays. And then offensively, I think his upside is absurd. I think he's just really going to be a really good player.
What I wrote here is that he's a really smart and even positive off-ball defender, but then the question marks come in when he's on the ball.
Exactly right.
And I agree with you that he is going to get in the way. Like, I feel like even though he's not very fast, he's not very explosive, you would think with a player like that, he's just going to get first stepped all the way to the basket multiple times, but he's really good at cutting off. But I think when you're going against these ridiculously talented offensive players in the NBA, it's going to be a situation where maybe he does cut off that first move, but then he's going to get beat on that second move a lot of times. But I do agree with you. I think that he has that, we've said this name a lot, but that Joe Ingles effect where he's really smart on both ends, and that IQ is enough to make you at least average, passable, whatever you want to say.
Yeah, exactly right. Yeah. I'm totally agree with you. I think, and then I just think he's gonna get stronger. I think that's gonna become a strength, and he's just gonna be a very high level player for a long time. He's relatively safe, but it doesn't mean he doesn't have upside too. Like, I think he's actually got real upside as well, because again, when he wasn't deferring to Cooper Flag, which again is actually a green flag. No, not to use flag twice. It's a green light, whatever you want to say. It's a positive sign. He recognized that Cooper Flag was the better player on the team, and he let Cooper Flag be the better player on the team. And the second Cooper Flag was out, he said, I'm the best player on the team. I'm going to take over the game. Like, I watched the second half of the Georgia Tech game this morning. I'd watched the first half yesterday. If Cooper Flag was not in college basketball, Cooper Flag was never born. I think Kon Knueppel was the ACC Player of the Year last year.
Wow.
And I think he's in the running for Player of the Year in college basketball. Like, I think he's that good.
Yeah.
Like, I think he would have had a freshman season. We would have been talking about Kon Knueppel as a top 5 pick even without Cooper Flag.
Okay.
I know some people would be like, well, he's playing off Cooper. And look, Duke's system is awesome. John Shire prepares guys for the NBA. They're running great stuff. He is being guarded by the second best player every time on the floor. Like, that's a plus. That's a huge advantage. But he's a great college basketball player. Yeah. He's really good.
All right. Anything else on Kon?
I could keep going. No, we should move on. That's enough on Kon.
Tre Johnson.
Okay.
We decided last week we were going to talk about Tre. There's a few names that we could have talked about in this range, but we decided on Tre because that has been like a recurring name for the Jazz at 5.
Yep.
And on top of that, his stock has seemingly been rising, even though it's hard to say he's rising because I feel like he's always been in the 5.
He's always been the top 5, top 6.
But it's just because the top 4 is so loaded, if you want to call it that.
Yeah.
Yeah, he's been the biggest name for the Jazz. Let me look at his combine.
I've got it right here. 6'4" 3/4 barefoot,
which is awesome.
So he'll be right up around 6'6" when he's got shoes on, if not a little taller. 190 pounds. He's thin.
Yeah.
6'10" wingspan, 6'10" and a quarter, 8'5" standing reach, and also had a very good vertical leap. What was it, 37 and a half? Before we get too far into who he is as a player.
Yes.
If you look at his body, all of that makes sense.
Yes.
Right? Like you watch, his arms are down to his knees. Yeah. Like he's got super lanky arms. The 37.5-inch vertical was really surprising.
I agree.
Because you never see it on the court.
He had 7 dunks all year.
Yeah, he had 3 in the half court.
Yeah.
Like, I get it. I get measurements matter. Like if you are too small, if you're Jimmer Fredette, it just like, it can be disqualifying.
Yes.
You know? There's also the opposite where it's like, you love the measurements. Do I ever actually feel them? I never once thought that Tre Johnson was the best athlete on the floor in any game I watched. He was never the best athlete on the floor, much less one of the best athletes in the draft.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like I watched the Kentucky game. I watched a lot of his games. I'd have to go back and even look at which I watched the Oklahoma game. It's just like, he's never the best athlete on the floor. He's probably not the best athlete on his team, despite the fact that you look at 37.5-inch vertical, get like the best shuttle or whatever it was, the wingspan, like all those things would imply like, is this dude Donovan Mitchell? It's like he's going to dunk less than Isaiah Collier. He's going to dunk less than Keontae George. And those guys aren't like crazy leapers, athletes. Like Keontae George catches what, 4 or 5 lobs a year, maybe. Yeah. And like, I don't know if you're ever going to throw a lob to Tre Johnson. So if you're thinking, I looked at his numbers, I'm seeing an athlete here, I think you're going to be mistaken. Yeah. I don't think you're going to see a lot of that outside of transition. And even then, like, there were times when he had an open transition and could have dunked and like goes for the lay-in.
Yes.
Because he's not going to like easily finish on top of the rim.
I want to get into this a little bit more. Specifically him using that athleticism.
Okay.
Because one of my major points I have here for him is questionable decision making, and specifically just like settling for jump shots on like almost every possession, if not every other possession. But he averaged 19.9 points, 3.1 rebounds, 2.7 assists, about 43% from the floor, 39.7% from 3, which is awesome. And then 87% from the line. He's a really good shooter, both with the ball in his hands, catch and shoot. I think especially with his size and his needing to grow as a playmaker, he'll probably slot in as a 2 in the NBA, especially with the Jazz. If they might run Collier or Sexton at the 1 and then have him at the 2. He shot 40.8% on catch and shoots. He shot higher, 41.6% when guarded, and then 39.6% when unguarded.
If Kon Knueppel's not the best shooter in the draft, Tre Johnson is.
Absolutely.
He is incredible.
Yeah.
Like his actual shot diet, which is a word I kind of hate, but his shot profile is better than Kon Knueppel's.
Yes.
Because he does so much off the dribble. He needs no space. Like, so here's what we have to explain also, because I'm not trying to compare Kon Knueppel to Tre Johnson, because believe it or not, Jazz fans, you can like 2 players. Like, it doesn't have to be, well, I like Kon, so I hate Tre, or I like Tre, so I hate Kon. Like, I like both these players a lot. I like Kon probably a little bit better.
Okay.
But Tre Johnson's shooting profile is insane. Like, if he had played at Duke, the screens he would have gotten from guys like Kamen Malawash and having guys who could actually pass him the ball in good spots, I think would have been better. And we can touch on that a little bit more in a minute. But like, if he were next to Walker Kessler or somebody who just knew how to set a screen for him, and he could either get downhill or come off the screen shooting threes, he's money.
Yes.
Like he's an absolute killer. He might be the best transition 3-point shooter I've seen in a long time. Like when he's running up the floor and he just wants to pull up, he's deadly. So he's awesome. His 3-point shooting is legit. He's going to be a good 3-point shooter in the NBA. Like, I think he's going to be up at 38%, 40%, like really early in his career, and he's going to stay there as long as he's in the NBA. And he's a good enough shooter that it will keep him there. And then he's at 87% from the free throw line. So like everywhere he shoots, it goes in.
Yes.
It's really nice as long as he's shooting and not trying to make layups.
Yeah. I am far from a diehard college basketball fan. I'm not tuning into every single game and know a lot about all these players dating back, but I think he is the best transition shooter I've seen since Jimmer Fredette. 44% transition threes, has NBA range. He took 52 of them, which is more than 1 a game, almost 2 a game. Off the dribble 3-point shooting, 38%, which is like the hardest all-star shot that there is in the NBA. Yeah.
Like, he gets to his shot off the dribble as well as anybody in this draft, like truly as well as anybody in the draft. Better than Dylan Harper, better than Cooper Flagg, certainly better than Kon Knueppel, way better than VJ Edgecombe. Like, I don't know if there are a lot of guys who you're going to see, if you just watch his highlights on YouTube, like cross guys over, step back 3, and it goes in at a really high level. Like, he is going to bring late shot clock value, bailout value for whatever team drafts him, which, by the way, is a huge need for the Jazz.
Yeah.
Like, one of the reasons we've talked about Keontae George shooting 39% from the floor and 34% from the three-point line is he's tasked with taking all of those. And if it's not him, it's Jordan Clarkson. And you look like, why are those guys taking so many shots? Like, the Jazz don't have anyone who can create a shot on their own, especially in late clock situations where you're not like, well, I'm going to get to the rim here because I have 3 seconds or 5 seconds to do it. They just have to take these bailout shots, and it really hurts them.
Yeah.
If you just took them out of Keontae's diet and out of Jordan Clarkson's responsibilities and gave them to Tre Johnson, overall, your team's three-point shooting is going to go up. And those guys' three-point shooting probably goes up because they're not taking as many bad shots.
Yeah.
Because he's awesome at them. Like, he is going to bring instant value, which, by the way, like, late game scenarios, late clock scenarios, that's where games are decided.
Yes.
And Tre Johnson can absolutely dice you up in those spots. That's where he was best. And again, you know, the SEC was the best basketball league in college basketball this year. He led it in scoring as a freshman.
Mm-hmm.
Like, his scoring and his shooting are truly the real deal. There's just not a lot of places where you're like, well, that's a weakness in his shooting profile. It's awesome.
Speaking of him projecting to be an off guard in the NBA, a lot of times he was tasked with being the main guy, balling his hand a lot for Texas. He shot 54. This is ridiculous. 54.8% on off-screen three-pointers.
Yeah.
That is,
again,
crazy.
You put him with Walker.
Yeah.
And he's gonna cook people.
Yes.
Like, his 3-point shooting is gonna be a very high level.
Now we can get into some of the areas of improvements. Something that I wrote, which I really like this, and I think that if he can work on it, he projects to be, we can talk about comparisons in a second, but he can improve in the flow of the offense, but I think he has tremendous personal flow and feel.
Yes, he does. Absolutely. He has a rhythm onto his own.
Yes.
That can be good and that can be bad, right? Like, I think Keontae George has a little bit of that. And there is some Keontae George in Tre Johnson's game. There absolutely is. Like, he shoots much better than Keontae George does, but like the ball handling, some of the question marks coming in, like, how much complementary playmaking can he add is a question mark. Now, credit Keontae, he's become a pretty good playmaker. Actually, like, his assist numbers have climbed. He was up almost 6 this year, found a way to do it off the bench. I don't know if Tre Johnson's going to get to 5 or 6, but you're right. He has a personal rhythm of his own, and he's really comfortable in it. I wrote, and because I wrote his breakdown last week, you can go back and read it. Yes. I said it looks like he plays next to players and not with players. Yep. He looks like he plays in the offense, not with the offense. Like, he's not reading what's going on. He's not really paying attention to what other guys are doing. So he's kind of just waiting for the ball a lot. It just looks like Tre Johnson is waiting to get the ball so he can do his thing. Now, Texas was terrible, and this is what I wanted to get into. Playing at Duke versus playing at Texas was 2 totally different systems. Like, absolutely. Duke is running NBA stuff over and over and over and has NBA guys all around him. I couldn't tell you a single other player on Tre Johnson's Texas team that's going to do anything in the NBA, maybe Europe, but like, they're running no system. Mm-mm. The coach got fired right after the year ended. It was terrible. There's also a little bit that, like, I think Tre Johnson wanted to be in a system that allowed him to do that.
True.
Right? Like, he went to a place where they were just like, yeah, Tre, you do whatever you want. Like, we talk about the Rutgers guys and Ace Bailey and Dylan Harper doing whatever they want. Tre Johnson did the exact same thing at Texas, and they didn't win.
No.
Like, I do think they made the tournament, but barely. Right? Like, because they were a 500 team in the SEC.
Yeah.
It's like, he alone did not make them a good team. And in fact, I think there were times, which is why I tell you to watch games. Well, not you, but I mean, fans watch games. Because there are times he goes off the court and it's like the team operates like better as a team than when Tre Johnson's on the court. Because sometimes he's like standing in the corner clapping for the ball, and I'm just like, ugh. Like,
there was a lot of weird body movement, like disappointed after missing a shot.
The reason you can tell his arms are so long is because they're down by his knees half the game. Because he's so frustrated. His body language is so bad that he's just like running back up the court with his hands down. Mm-hmm. It's like, ugh. Okay, like, you're going to have you're going to a bad basketball team. If you're being drafted in the top 6, you're going to a bad basketball team. Like, I think the Wizards would make a lot of sense for him. He's going to have some terrible body language playing with some horrible Wizards teams that I think would be really disappointing. And you've got to clean that up if you're going to be a leader.
And this is the reason why I think he would fit a lot better with the Jazz instead of like a Hornets or a Washington, because I think that there is so much untapped potential there. But I think that, one, he needs to align with good coaching, but you need to have good coaching in the first place. Mm-hmm. because there is the body language. There is questionable decision-making stuff. There is a lack of effort sometimes on the defensive end. But all of those things are just like a mindset switch, more or less.
Yeah, I would hope so.
Yeah, you would hope so.
I would
exactly.
hope so.
One thing I do want to say is I think that he could benefit from a sort of Keontae George rookie season kind of thing, because I think that he is a capable passer and he could become a plus playmaker. He makes good reads a lot of the time, pick and roll, dumps, skips. I think there's potential there.
He is a strong passer. Like he has the ability to actually make the passes. Some guys aren't even strong enough to make some of these passes.
Yeah.
He is, and because he's so tall and has long arms, he can like do the two-handed overhead pass and really throw it across the court, which is valuable. I agree with you when he does get into the paint, which is rare.
Yeah.
He does make good dump off passes. It doesn't even have to be to like the pick and roll player. So it's not just like the obvious pocket pass. Sometimes it's guys cutting to the basket and he finds them for easy finishes. There is more playmaking there. And I would bet if he liked his teammates more or trusted them more, he would have found them.
Yeah.
So if that is Walker, if that's Lowry, if that's John Collins or whoever, I think he will become a better passer at the NBA level than he was and running an actual NBA system. I think will be good. But I do think most of his passes are escape passes. It's not really a thing we talk about a lot, but it's like he's not anticipating what the defense is doing and beating the defense. He's like, caught the ball. I'm going to shoot. Oh, the shot's not there. Okay, let me get to my next shot. Okay, that's not there. Oh, no, I'm double teamed. There's 6 seconds left. Let me jump and throw a pass.
Yeah.
He's good at that, but he's not like breaking down the defense with his passing, which scares me a little bit. So I don't think he offers like a lot of complimentary, like run the offense stuff. But I would like to see him run more pick and roll. He might actually be pretty good at it.
And let's get into that a little bit. Talk about decision making, putting himself into tough situations, and then ultimately that all comes together with his finishing and not only lack of efficiency there, but lack of actually ever really doing it. He shot 51.4% at the rim, which is not very good. I wrote that he often settles for fadeaways and tough shots when he's cut off, whether that be in the mid range or down near the block area, like you talked about. If he's not making a last second, I need to pass here, then he's throwing up a bad shot.
Yep. A lot of, and again, it's why I wouldn't even like, there are things on YouTube where it's like full game highlights, but they cut out all the misses. So it's just the makes. It's like, no, you got to go and watch the whole games. You got to go back and see like how often he's just like taking crap shots.
Yeah.
Like doesn't trust his teammates, gets to the mid range and just kind of takes a bad shot or takes some really tough threes that don't matter. And then, man, you watch a lot of games. It's like, did he go to the free throw line once? Like, did he actually get there? And the problem is 5 different times this season, he failed to get to the free throw line at all. There were 22 games. He got there 4 or less. Like, for how many threes he takes, like he should draw a foul on a 3 a game.
Yeah.
And honestly, like he should be that level of dangerous as a 3-point shooter with how bad college defenders are that he just got to the free throw line by you're running off the screen and stop and pull up in front of you and draw a bunch of free throws that way. He had 4 games where he shot 10 or more, but yeah, man, like the free throw rate is terrible, which is that's easy points. Like that's how you got to score in the NBA. That's what the best scorers do. So he rarely ever got to the free throw line, which indicates some craft stuff. And then it's just the ability to get to the paint and then actually draw fouls and draw bodies in with you. And that's the other part we talked about is like athleticism not ever actually showing up on the floor. Like he feels all of 190 pounds, if not less.
Yes.
Like he just gets pushed off of his spot. He can't get to one of the reasons he can't get to the rim is because he can't go in a straight line because he can't go through people.
No.
So he's got to go around everybody. And oftentimes, like you're looking at the basket right in front of you and he's trying to turn the corner and the turn never happens. So he just gets forced further and further and further away from the basket, which is what Keontae George did his first year.
Yes.
And then he's throwing a lot of like tough angle bank shots, which is part of the reason why his field goal percentage isn't super high, despite the fact that he's an elite 3-point shooter.
Yeah.
And like my fear watching him is that like this is a guy who's going to be 41% from the floor, 38% from 3 his whole career. Like never going to get up to 45% from the floor and is going to realize like the best shot I take is a 3 every time. It never makes sense for me to go into the paint because I don't score at as high a rate and it's much harder. So I'm going to be low 40s, high 30s shooter, which is like where the Buddy Hield comps really come in, and I see a ton of it. Like he's better. He's a way better player as a freshman than Buddy Hield was at Oklahoma. Don't get me wrong, but like Buddy Hield was a 6 overall pick, elite 3-point shooter, still does that. But offensively, he's a one-trick pony.
Yeah. For my comparison, the same way that we talked about, like Ace Bailey could be Kevin Durant on the absolute high end, which is out of the picture now. We find out that he's 6'7".
Yeah.
I wrote James Harden, and I don't think he'll ever be the playmaker that James Harden is. Even if he ends up being the number one offensive guy on a team, I don't think he'll get more than 5-6 assists ever.
No, he's not going to be triple-double guy ever.
So I wrote that as like absolute high end, the same way like I said for Ace KD. But more realistically, I have him as like a Tyler Hero, Norman Powell kind of guy.
I was thinking like Malik Monk without the playmaking.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Which like Malik Monk's a good player. Malik Monk, I think, won a title with the Lakers, or maybe he came to that team after and was like, he's a good six man. He's really good with the Kings right now. He's like your third best offensive player.